ครับตอนรับท่านผู้ชมเข้าสู่ Big Dose นะครับวันนี้แขกรับเชิญของเรานะครับเป็นอาจารย์ชาวอิตาลีใช่แล้วครับอาจารย์ชาวอิตาลีนะครับท่านสอน Performance Management ที่มหาวิทยาลัย University of Palermo ที่ประเทศอิตาลีนะครับนอกเหนือไปจากนั้นอาจารย์ยังเป็นนักเขียนนะครับอาจารย์เขียนหนังสือเล่มนี้นะให้ดูกันนะครับ Dynamic Performance Management นะครับนี่เป็นหนังสือเล่มใหม่ล่าสุดของอาจารย์แล้วก็อาจารย์สอนเรื่องนี้วันนี้ผมจะคุยกับ Prof.Dr. Carmine Bianchi จากมหาวิทยาลัยPalermo นะครับสวัสดีครับ I'm giving you the full Thai wide and you do that very well. Welcome to our program.
Thank you.
Okay, now you fly from Italy.
Yeah.
Everything okay?
Yeah, very much so.
And how many times have you been to the Kingdom of Thailand?
I think it is fourth or fifth time.
Oh, all right. All right.
Yeah.
You find Thai food very nice.
Fantastic.
No, it's not as great as Italian
Tom
food.
yum.
Tom yum. Well, I love all your pasta. No, let's talk about this because to be honest, I don't really know what dynamic performance management is. I mean, let's show this book again. You just wrote this. It was just recently published.
Yeah.
Let's start with this. What is dynamic performance management? Why is there an entire book on this issue?
Dynamic is the opposite to static. Static is no motion, no time delays. Life is not that simple today.
It's not static.
So we have a lot of delays, a lot of factors impacting on performance in terms of results in organizations. Could be public or private sector organizations, could be small organizations or large organizations. In any case, we have time, which matters, but also many players from both inside and outside organizations. So we are dealing with dynamic and complex issues.
Okay, so this book teaches one to be able to manage public agencies? Are we talking about that?
Right.
I mean, we're talking about governments and organizations.
Right. It's about planning. So in general, unfortunately, planning, particularly in the public sector, but even in the private one, is considered some kind of bureaucratic activity.
Exactly.
Just putting some numbers, and by making the numbers, you get the result. Result in terms of your own result, not the organization result. But actually, this is not the real meaning of planning and performance management. Performance management is something that should be conceived as a way to understand, to learn on how to manage a complex organization. Even as for micro companies, we are talking about complex organizations. Everything is in the mind of only one person. Come on, it's in general the owner, entrepreneur. So there are several kinds of complexities in several kinds of organizations. In the last 15 years, I've been particularly applying the approach of dynamic performance management to the public sector since I moved into the political science faculty.
This is quite something else because there are a lot of books out there that teaches you how to manage a business. Okay?
Right.
And there are a lot of business administration program out there, a lot of MBAs. But what you're telling people is that you can apply these methodologies to the public sector. I mean, we see a lot of failures in governments around the world.
Right.
What you're telling me is that this is the kind of book that will tell you how to better manage the public sector, which would benefit many countries, right?
Yeah, the key word, in my opinion, is particularly moving from input and process control, which is just myopic control, towards a more output and even better outcome-based performance management. Meaning what? That you have an emphasis not only on the, say, ingredients you put to make the cake, but on the outcomes you get from using the cake in terms of making results and using the results from public services from each institutions. This means, and I give you an example, that for instance, facing financial bankruptcies in municipalities is usually all over the world conceived. It is a major problem, but the typical answer is to cut horizontally budgets. There is no consideration of the outcomes in the long run on the local area. So imagine large municipalities, Bangkok for instance. And cutting horizontally costs, expenditures like those that have an impact on infrastructures, on social care, on health care, and the like, crime control, they may probably on an algebraic mathematical point of view generate an apparent benefit on the financial statements, but with a delay they may generate problems in the quality of life in the community. So lower attractiveness of the city, not only the city but the local area, that will feed back in the long run. But long run now is 3 years, not 30 years.
So
you
would give
generating more problems.
You would give them the methods and the ways of thinking as to bring about changes that would not create further problems.
Yes.
So this would be applicable to everyday problems that we see across many countries in Europe have.
Absolutely.
This issue.
Yeah. Quick fixes are just patches. And this is perfectly understandable on a, I would say, as a common sense. But one thing is to mention this, another thing is to share this idea. So imagine you have several players, several ministers, or several institutions involved in a wicked social problem. We have, for instance, in Italy, in Europe, immigration. Not only in Italy, actually, or in Europe. So who is the owner of these problems?
How do we deal with this
so
problem?
Many. How do you deal with those problems? So in these cases, understanding the problem and framing the problem is modeling the problem. Understanding means connecting the dots over time and supporting decision makers in getting a shared view.
Is it possible that much of the world's problems that we have is because public figures, in important positions, don't really know how to frame the issue, and then they go about fixing the problem the wrong way?
Right.
That's much of what we see around the world today.
Yeah. It's a wrong approach that unfortunately is used in almost all the countries in the world.
Is this a textbook? Do you use this as part of your graduate program?
Yes, I do. I use it in at least 2 programs. One is the Master in Public Management we deliver at the University of Palermo, and the other one is the doctoral program in Public Management.
All right. I have never been to an Italian university. It sounds enticing, and we'll talk more about that as well as the curriculum coming up next นะฮะเดี๋ยวพักกันสักครู่นะครับ We'll take a short break พักกันสักครู่นะครับเดี๋ยวกลับมาวันนี้เราพูดคุยกับอาจารย์การมิเน่บิอังกี้นะฮะสอนเรื่องนี้น่าสนใจมากเพราะว่าการบริหารองค์กรของภาครัฐเนี่ยเป็นสิ่งที่สำคัญนะเวลาพูดถึงการเมืองเนี่ยลืมพูดถึงเรื่องนี้เรื่องการบริหารเรื่องการแก้ปัญหาสักครู่เดี๋ยวกลับมาคุยกันสักครู่ วันนี้แขกรับเชิญนะครับใน Big Dose ก็คืออาจารย์การมิเน่บิอังกีท่านสอนเรื่องการบริหารจัดการหลายเรื่องแต่ว่าหนึ่งในส่วนนั้นก็คือองค์กรภาครัฐนะครับหรือ Public Management นะครับแล้วอาจารย์มีหนังสือเล่มนี้ด้วยนะฮะ Dynamic Performance Management ก็เดี๋ยวต้องเช็คดูว่ายังขายในร้านหนังสือในเมืองไทยหรือเปล่าน่าจะขายนะฮะน่าซื้อน่าอ่านทีเดียวนะครับอาจารย์เขียนเรื่องนี้ Do you train people essentially to be mayors and governors and prime ministers? I mean, are those the kind of people that need to be taking these courses and reading your books?
Ideally, yes.
That's what you want.
Ideally, yes, but also managers in the public sector. People who will implement policies and will have a dialogue, a strategic dialogue with politicians. So the issue is that although there are different roles in the public sector, those who will design policies and those who will implement policies, there is a staff that might also support and should also support both groups. having a strategic dialogue. This stuff is the stuff of dynamic performance planners.
How different is, let's say, managing a business, you know, and with someone with an MBA degree, managing a business compared to managing a government organization? Which one?
Oh, yeah.
I think managing a government is much tougher, but
it's
what is the main
differently complex. in a way that you have a first problem is that there is a stronger need to understand the interinstitutional issues than in the case of businesses. So when you are, for instance, a municipality, you cannot only focus on what happens in the boundaries of your institution. As your institution is in a local area, and everything is interconnected.
Everything matters, okay.
And probably even more than it happens in an enterprise producing shoes, for instance. So this is a major difference. Another major difference relates about the tougher and important role of non-financial measures. So you cannot only limit, focus your evaluation of performance in terms of financials. You have quality issues, you have elements regarding the satisfaction of social issues, and even when you consider a business, you have some kind of distinction between competitive results and social results in terms of managing stakeholders. But in the public sector, the two things are very much intertwined. As you know, competition or a quasi-market system, like in healthcare, for instance, when you may have a competition between the public sector, public hospitals, and the private hospital. In any case, it's something by the public sector related to the institutional role, satisfying the needs of those people who are in the same community. So there are differences, and there are so many differences, but in particular in the public sector, this fragmentation of institutions, first point, and the fact that there are intangibles and non-financial measures which matter a lot. And consequently, we have also delays which matter a lot, imply that the dynamic performance management approach should have to help decision makers, and to help decision makers we need the staff, we need the experts to do that. So we train primarily those experts will help line units on the one side and politicians to design plans and to have a dialogue. Consider that in Italy, for instance, one of the main problems is designing and sketching strategic plans at the political level.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
in many European countries,
our law,
Asian countries
yeah,
too.
our law implies that there are staff analysts in the political cabinets supporting politicians.
There should be.
There should be, but there is a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, so when you look at a problem like the Greek debt crisis, right?
Right.
When you look at that from an outsider perspective, do you view it as something that can be solved in a better way with the kind of things you're teaching your students? I mean, do you believe in your stuff that much? Or you believe that if you tackle the issues right, there's a solution?
To solve problems like the Greek financial crisis, you need to, first of all, to be aware that designing proper management systems, or it's not only management, but it is the administration, the broad administration of the public sector. You don't have only to focus on strictly managerial aspects, but you should have to redesign at the same time institutional issues and even political. When I say political, I don't refer to the politics only, but also I refer to the software in the mind of people,
the mindset,
the culture. The culture.
Mindset, the culture of the
I like
players.
to call it software, provocatively speaking.
That's not easy to change.
Yeah, Through dynamic modeling, dynamic performance management, you can gradually make a change also in this regard. When you have a plan which is a static plan, which is maybe 300 pages with charts, colored charts, nice things, a lot of numbers, you don't change anything.
I see. No, but I'm not going to ask about Italian politics, and I'm not going to mention Thai politics in this discussion, but I think there's a lot that both Italian and Thai politics, similar in many ways actually, can benefit from dynamic performance management. Let's talk about your program, the graduate program. You have students from Asia?
Yes, we do. We have students from Indonesia, from Japan, from Vietnam. Not yet from Thailand, but we are developing activities with Windsor. They will get students for us. There is
I think we should send someone who wants to be like a future politician, a future public service, to get these ideas. This book, how many books have you written?
Many.
Okay.
Many. The first book I wrote was 1985. After that, I would say 6 books. But this is the first one I write fully in English, and I wrote many articles.
Were the other ones about this issue?
Yes.
It is all about management. Okay.
No. I mean about dynamic performance management as well. Yeah, specifically. I am in the field since the 1994, and this book provides a synthesis of the work that I've been doing in the last 20 years or so. Work both in research and teaching, but also in consulting, as I've been doing this in different fields, and also in professional training with professionals in several parts. I didn't mention before. Even Malaysia, we have interaction with another university in Malaysia as well.
ประเด็นที่อาจารย์กามิเน่เบียนที่เขียนเนี่ยจริงๆแล้วมีความสำคัญมากท่านผู้ชมเพราะว่าการบริหารจัดการองค์กรภาครัฐนั้นมันเป็นสิ่งที่ยังขาดอยู่ในโลกนี้ของเราจริงไม่ใช่เฉพาะเมืองไทยที่มีปัญหานี้อิตาลีก็มีหลายๆประเทศในยุโรปนะครับปัญหาคล้ายๆกันแต่ว่าวิธีการมองปัญหาถ้ามองให้ถูกต้องตรงประเด็นแล้วก็บริหารจัดการได้เนี่ยหลายสิ่งหลายอย่างที่เป็นปัญหาในสังคมก็สามารถแก้ไขได้ I want to thank you very much for coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for inviting me.
Hopefully, one day I'll send maybe my kid to study at Palermo. He would be
he or she
he would have
be
fun.
very
I would have fun in Palermo. Okay.
You would be very welcome as well.
Thank you. ขอบคุณครับ
Nice to meet you. Thank you for inviting me.
ครับนั่นก็คือบทสนทนาของเรากับอาจารย์กามิเน่บิยังกี้นะครับนั่นก็คือ Big Dose คืนวันนี้นะครับทุกวันเสาร์และวันอาทิตย์ที่นี่ทาง Voice TV 2 ทุ่มตรงนะครับวันนี้เรา2 คนลาท่านผู้ชมไปก่อนครับเชิญนะครับ